Hello everyone and welcome to this course. In the next 2 hours of this course, you will design 3 modern mobile apps using Figma AI and then convert those designs into fully functional Flutter applications with Cursor AI. So this course is all about AI-powered app development. We will start simple by designing a calculator application in Figma and then building it in Flutter with the help of Cursor AI. After that, we are going to design a multi-screen note-taking application in Figma with AI. And then we are going to convert that design into fully functional Android and iOS application. Finally, we are going to build a professional AI-powered meal planner application. So in this application, user can sign up and log in using Firebase, and then they are going to complete the onboarding to share their preferences. And then finally, they are going to receive an AI-generated weekly meal plan, and we are going to generate that meal plan using powerful models of ChatGPT. So while building this application, you will also learn important app development concepts like use of Firebase, APIs, and AI integration. So whether you are a beginner, a designer, or a developer, if you want to design and build real mobile apps using AI, this course is for you. So what are you waiting for? Join the course now and start your AI journey. Welcome to this lecture. So as inside this course, we are going to design stunning mobile app designs, and we are going to do that with the power of AI in Figma. So a question arises, what is Figma? So Figma is actually a powerful cloud-based design and prototyping tool used by teams to create professional UIs for websites, apps, and other digital products. So in simple words, we can design our mobile apps, websites, and other things inside Figma, inside our browsers. So it means, unlike Photoshop, we don't have to install heavy softwares inside our system and need that computation power, and instead we can just open Figma inside our browser and design anything, anywhere. And inside this course, we are going to use the power of Figma with AI to create stunning mobile app designs in just minutes. So let's explore Figma first. So inside your browser, when you will search for Figma, you will see this first link, figma.com. So click on it and it will gonna open their home page. So now here you need to either log in or sign up. So click on login button, and if you do not have an existing account, you can create one by clicking on this create button. And if you want to continue with Google like me, we can select it and then attach our Google account. And after that, it will gonna navigate us to our dashboard. So in my case, this is my dashboard, and in your case, if you are there for the first time, you will not see any project in this recent view section. So this is a basic dashboard of Figma, and here, in order to create a new design from scratch, you can click on this design button, and if you want to use the power of AI for creating those designs, then our relevant option is this Make. So Make is actually an AI tool of Figma using which we can design mobile apps, websites, or other things with AI. And we are mostly going to use this Make feature of Figma inside this course. So if we will click on it, it will gonna open this interface. So this interface is similar to other GenAI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and so on. So here you can simply describe your idea and it will gonna generate that design for you. And later inside our next lecture, we are going to build our mobile app GUIs by describing our ideas here. So you will learn that how to effectively describe your idea here to create a stunning design. Now a question arises that whether we can use these features of Figma for free or not. And to explore it inside another tab, we can search for Figma pricing. And there you can see this first link, plan and pricing. So click on it and then we will see different plans offered by Figma. So there you can see they got a starter plan which is free, and this is the plan which we are mostly going to use. And in this plan we can actually use all of their available features. But if at some point you are thinking that free plan is not enough for you, then you can always move to professional plan where you have to pay $3 to $16 based upon your needs. So here if you will scroll down, you will see the features included in each plan. So as we are going to use the free plan, so there we get 150 AI credit per day. And in total, we will get 500 AI credit for each month. And this is more than enough if you have an idea and you want to try that. Similarly, in the paid plans, we are getting more than 3,000 AI credits. And these credits are actually used when here inside Figma Make when we are creating a design. So let's say we created our design and it took us like 15 AI credits. And then after that, we want to change a button like the GUI of a button, then it will gonna take 1 AI credit and so on. And inside this course, we will explore that, how many credits it is taking for our particular design to build. But now in short words, to start building with Figma AI, we don't need to buy their paid plan. We can later see whether we need it based upon our use or not. And now inside our next lecture, we are going to start using Figma Make for designing beautiful mobile apps. And now to make our caption, let's download and install desktop version of Figma inside our system. So as I am using Windows, so I will gonna download the Windows version. And if you are on a Mac, you can download Figma for Mac. And to do that, you can search for Figma for Windows and Figma for Mac based upon your operating system. And then the first link which you will see is this download. So click on it, and it will gonna open this page. So now here, if you are on Mac, you can click on download for Mac. And as we are on Windows, so we are going to click download app for Windows. And there you can see the download for there. So this setup is around 100 MBs. So once download there, you can simply click on it and install it inside your system. After that, you can simply log in using your Google account. Or if you have created the other account, you can simply log in. And everything will be similar to web. So now the download is completed and I have also installed Figma inside my system. So now to launch it, we can search for Figma here and there you can see the installed app. So click on it and it will gonna show you a window similar to this one. So here again, you need to log in or create your account. So we are going to log in using our Google account. So inside browser, it will gonna show you this window. And you can select continue with Google. And there after verification, you can click on open the desktop app and it will gonna complete the setup for you. So click on it. And there you can see we are inside our desktop now. And there we will be able to see our recent projects and the option to create Figma Make project just like before. So there you can see the same GUI and there you can see this make option. So click on it. And there you can see the GUI for Figma Make. So now here we are going to describe our ideas and build our app GUIs. So what is Cursor? It is a computer software where AI can write code for us. Or in professional way, it is an IDE where we can write code with the power of AI. So in order to use Cursor, we need to download and install it inside our system. And to do that, you can search for Cursor inside your browser. And then in the search results, you can check this cursor.com. So click on it and the home page will be open. So as we are on Windows, so we are going to download it for Windows. And if you are on a Mac, you can click on download for Mac and the download will gonna start. So once the download will gonna complete, you can simply install it. And after that, once you will open it, you will see a window similar to this one. So this is the basic interface of Cursor. So after installing Cursor, the next step is attaching your Google, Apple or GitHub account with it. So to do that, you can go to the settings and there click on sign in button. And then it will gonna ask you to attach your account. So we are going to continue with Google, but you can select other options if you want. So let's click on it and then select your account and then log in. And once done, then open the Cursor again and you will be able to see your account is attached here. So once you will gonna attach Cursor, then the next thing is looking at their pricing or whether we can use it for free or not. And to do that, you can click on this open button and it will gonna open your Cursor profile. So basically Cursor provides a 7-day free trial period and it is more than enough to try its feature. And then if you find it really useful and productive, then we can go for their Pro plan, which costs $20 per month. But for now, as it is our first time, so we can start this 3 days Hammond trial. But to enable it, you have to attach your payment method. So once you will do that, that plan will be activated. And after using Cursor for a week, if you find it really useful, then we can go for their paid plan. So now after doing that, the setup for Cursor is completed. And the next step is using Cursor for building our mobile apps. And we are going to start that process from our next lecture. So we'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to set up the environment for Flutter app development. And we are going to do that on Mac operating system. And if you have a Windows, then you can follow the other lecture, where we are going to do the environment setup on Windows operating system. And if you already got Flutter and Android Studio set up on your Mac, then you can skip this section and proceed to the next one. But now we are going to start setting up the environment. And the first step is installing or adding Flutter SDK inside of a MacBook. So to do that, you can open your favorite browser and there type Flutter. After that, press enter, and you will see this first result, which is this www.flutter.dev. So click on this link and the documentation page for Flutter will be open. And here you can read about the features of Flutter. But we are going to click on this Get Started button, and we will be moved to the screen where we need to select our operating system. So as we got a Mac, so we will select this Mac OS, and it will gonna show us this option. And here for now we are going to select iOS, so just select it, and it will gonna show us the instructions to do the setup of Flutter on Mac OS. So here you can firstly scroll down and go to the section Install the Flutter SDK. And there in the Download and Install section you will find these two options. So if you got a Mac which has an Intel chip, then you can select this one. And if you got the latest Mac with M1, M2 or M3 chip, then you can download this zip file. So as I got a Mac with an Intel chip, so I will gonna download this one. So click on it and the download will gonna start. So now let's wait for this download to be completed, and then we are going to add this SDK inside of our MacBook. So now the zip file is downloaded and I got it here. And now we need to put this zip file or this SDK somewhere inside of our Mac. And then we need to tell Mac that this is the Flutter SDK and using it we are going to develop Flutter applications. So how we are going to do that? So to do that, open the documentation page again. And here below these download buttons we got some instructions. So there you can see the second instruction is creating a folder where you can install Flutter. And they recommend that inside our home directory we will create a folder with the name development. So what we are going to do is to open our Finder, and then we are going to navigate to our home folder. And there we are going to create a new folder, so select new folder here, and then name it development. After that, inside this folder we need to extract that zip file. So there you can see I got it here on desktop. So what I can do is to drag it inside this folder, and then I am going to double tap it to uncompress it. And there you can see we got this Flutter folder. And after getting this Flutter folder, you can delete this save file. So let's delete it, and that's it. So now we got this Flutter folder inside our development folder. So now after doing that, open the documentation page, and there the next step is adding Flutter to your path. So at this point we have completed these 3 steps. So firstly we downloaded the SDK, and then we created the development folder, and inside it we have put or extracted that zip file. And after that we need to add Flutter to our path. So to run Flutter commands in the terminal, add Flutter to the path environment variables. And to do that, we need to open this file named as zshenv. Or there are chances that inside your Mac, this file is present with the name zhsrc. So you need to open this file, and then inside this file, you need to put this path at the end of this file, and then you need to save that file. And after that, the path of Flutter SDK will be added inside our environment variables. So to do that, you need to firstly check that whether this zshenv file is present or not. And to do that, you can open the terminal. And inside terminal, we are right now inside our home folder. So here you need to execute this command ls space al. So press enter, and you will be able to see all the files present inside our home. And there you can see I got this zshrc file. So in your case, you will gonna get this file, or you may have this zshenv file. So as I got this file, so I am going to open it. And to open it, we are going to write the command open. And then we need to type the file name, which is zshrc. And in your case, it will be zshenv if you got this env file. So press enter. So you can see this .zshrc file is open. And now inside this file we need to put this path. So you can simply copy this path, and when you will look at it, it is pointing to our development folder, and then inside development we got Flutter, and inside this Flutter we got this bin folder. And if in your case you have put this Flutter folder somewhere else, then you need to specify that path here. But in our case we got it in the home folder. So this is the path which we are going to use, so just simply copy it. And then open the file, and after that, at the end of this file, simply paste it. Now press Command S, and this file will be saved. And after saving the file, just simply close it. And then you can also close this terminal. And now you need to open the terminal again. And here, to confirm that Flutter is installed successfully or not, you need to execute a command, Flutter version. So enter this command and press enter. And you can see this information here. So I got Flutter version 3.16.9, and this is the version which I just installed. So if after running this command you got this information, then it means that you have successfully added Flutter SDK inside your Mac. And Flutter is also added inside your environment variables. So now we can access Flutter from command lines. So now after installing the Flutter SDK, the next step is setting up the Android Studio, because using Android Studio we are going to build our Flutter applications. So in how to install Android Studio, inside your browser type Android Studio and press enter. And there you can see the results. So open this first link, developer.android.com Studio. And there you can see this page. And here you will gonna get this download Android Studio button. And this is the latest version of Android Studio available in March 2024. So just click on it and it will gonna show you this agreement screen. So click on this check mark, and then if you got a Mac with Intel chip, then click on this download button, and if you got an Apple chip, then download this one. So as I got this Intel chip, so I will gonna click on it, and there you can see the download started. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the download of Android Studio is completed, and we got this DMD file here. So just simply double tap on it, and it will gonna show you this windows. So here, move this Android Studio inside application folder. And after that, open this launchpad. And here you will be able to find Android Studio. So just simply click on it. And then you will get this pop-up. So simply click on this Don't Send button. And then you will get this Welcome Android Studio screen. So here simply click on this Next button. And then you can select the standard or custom type. So if you will select custom, then you can customize installation settings and components installed. But we will go with this standard, so then click Next. And here you will find some SDK components and tools which need to be downloaded. So click Next. And then you need to agree for these licenses, so click on this Accept button. And then click on this Android SDK ARM. And click on Accept as well. Then click Finish, and these components will gonna start downloading. And once they finish, our Android Studio will be ready. So there you can see these components are being downloaded, and it will gonna take some time. So now all the components are downloaded, so click on this Finish button, and Android Studio will be opened. But at this point inside Android Studio, we cannot create a Flutter project. And to create a Flutter project, we need to install Flutter plugin. So in the side pane, click on Plugins, and then search for Flutter, so Flutter. And there you can see the result. So the first result is this Flutter plugin. So just click on this install, and it will gonna ask you to accept these conditions. So just accept it. And there you can see the Flutter plugin is installed, and it is asking to restart ID. So click on this button, and our Android Studio will be restarted. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted, and now we got this new Flutter project button. And earlier this button was not there. So it means that now inside Android Studio we can create a Flutter project. So now at this point inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project, and then we can run that Flutter project to an Android device. But we cannot run that Flutter project on iOS, because for iOS we need to install another software called Xcode. And then by combining this Android Studio and Xcode, we will be able to run Flutter applications on iOS and Mac devices. So the next step is installing Xcode inside of a MacBook. You need to open App Store inside your Mac. So inside Launchpad, search for App Store and you will find it here. And now inside App Store, simply search for Xcode. After that, press Enter, and you will see this first result. So this is the software which we are going to download. So you can click on it and its home page will be open. So now you can simply click on this Get button and then click on the Install button. And this software will gonna start downloading. And once you will gonna download it, it will gonna show you an Open button here. So once Xcode will be installed, you will be able to see this Open button. And upon clicking on it, Xcode will be open. Or you can also check Launchpad, and there you will also find Xcode icon. So just click on it, and it will be launched in just a second. So when for the first time it will be open, it will gonna ask you to agree with these terms and conditions. And there you need to provide the password of your Mac to agree with them. And then you will see this window, and here you can select the devices for which you want to develop the applications. So by default, macOS and iOS will be selected, so you can just select both of these. And then click on Install button, and it will gonna install some additional components. And once that process is finished, you will see this What's New in Xcode window. So here you can simply click on Continue button, and you will be able to see this window for Xcode. So once Xcode is installed and it is launched, you will be able to see a window similar to this one. And here you can create a new project in Xcode, or you can open an existing project. So after installing Xcode, you need to click on this Xcode button in the top left corner. And then you can click on this preferences. And here you need to go to this location tab. And then you need to select a value inside this command line tools. So by default, there will not be any value selected here. So you can click on this drop down and you will be able to see the name and variant of your Xcode. So just simply select it. And we are all set to build iOS applications inside Flutter. So just close this window and then open Android Studio. And now inside Android Studio, we can create a new Flutter project. And then we can also run this project inside Android and iOS. So let's start by creating a new Flutter project. So click on this new Flutter project button. And here in the side pane, you need to select Flutter because we want to create a new Flutter project. Then click Next. And here you need to assign a name to your project. Like I will gonna name it as First App. And then you can select your project location here. So by default, the Studio project folder will be selected and it is created by Android Studio. And then we got the language selection here. So we will gonna use Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS. And after doing that, you can select the platforms. Like if you want to build this application only for Android and iOS, then you can uncheck this Linux, macOS, web and Windows. And if you want to build it for all of these platforms, then keep them selected and click on this Create button so that our new Flutter project will be created. And there you can see our new Flutter project is created, and as it's our first project, so it will gonna download few files. So let's wait for these files or packages to be downloaded. So now the files are downloaded and our Flutter project is ready. So when we create a new Flutter project, by default, it provides us a contour application. So now, firstly, we are going to install this contour application inside an Android device or inside an Android emulator. And then we are also going to install it inside an iOS simulator. So firstly, we are going to install this contour application inside an iOS simulator. And then we are also going to install it inside an Android emulator. So to open an Android simulator here, you can click on this drop down and you will see this option, Open iOS Simulator. So just click on it and it will gonna launch this simulator here. So there you can see a simulator or a clone for iPhone 14 Pro Max is open. And it will gonna take few seconds and then it will be ready. And after that we are going to install this Flutter application inside this iOS simulator. And there you can see the iOS simulator is ready. And now to install our application on this iOS simulator, what we can do is to select it here in this drop-down. And there you can see it is already selected. So after selecting it, click on this Run Main ... and our application will be installed inside this iOS simulator in few seconds. And there you can see our application is installed inside this iOS simulator. So this is the default contour application provided by Flutter. And here when you will click on this button, this count will gonna increase. So now we have successfully set up Flutter in macOS. And then we have also created a new Flutter project. And we are able to install this Flutter project inside an iOS simulator. And now the next step is installing this Flutter application inside an Android emulator. So to install this Flutter application inside an Android device, you can either connect your mobiles with this MacBook or you can create an Android emulator. So here let's minimize the simulator and then click on this device manager icon. And there you can see a default Android emulator created by me. But in your case, you might not see anything here but a Create Android Emulator button. So upon clicking on this button, you will see a dialog similar to this one. And here you can select the device for which you want to create an emulator. Like we are going to select Pixar's Heaven and then click Next. And there you will be able to see the list of Android versions. So here you can select the latest version or the versions you like. Like we are going to select this Android 14. So just select it and then click on this download button. So before creating an Android emulator containing Android 14, we need to download the zip file for Android 14. And there you can see this download started. So now we need to wait for this download to be completed. And then we are going to create an Android emulator and install our application inside it. So now the downloading process is finished, so just click on this finish button. And after that you can see this Android version which is currently downloaded inside your macOS. So just simply select it and then click next. And after that you can select the orientation of the device and then click finish and our Android emulator will be created. So there you can see after creating it we got this Pixel Heaven which is containing Android 14. So to launch this Android emulator click on this run button. And after that minimize this bottom box. And also minimize this drop box so that we can see the emulator here clearly. And it will be there in just a second. And there you can see the emulator is started and you can see the basic interface of this particular Android device. So once it is ready, you can simply select it from this drop down. So there you can see this Pixel 7, so just select it. And after that, we are going to install the application inside this Android emulator. So now our application is installed inside this Android emulator, so let's increase their size so that we can see things clearly. And here, upon click on this button, this count is increasing. So now let's start by setting up the environment for Flutter app development. And for this purpose, we need to download Flutter SDK, which is Flutter Software Development Kit, and we need to put it inside our system. And to do that, you need to open your browser, and here you can search for Flutter SDK. And there you can see the results, and the first link is this flutter.dev, so click on it and the home page for Flutter will be open. And there you can read about different features which Flutter provides. But you can see this Get Started button at the top right corner. So we are going to click here. And it will gonna take us to this page where we can select our platform. So as we are using Windows, so select it. And after that, it will gonna ask you that for which particular platform you want to build applications. So for now, we are going to select Android here. And then you can see this section. And here firstly you can read the minimum hardware requirements, like the minimum CPU cores should be 4 and the RAM should be 8. Apart from that the resolution will be this one, and you should have minimum 11 GB space inside your system. But these requirements are generally met for all the systems. So after looking at them you can scroll down and there you will find this section to download and install Flutter. And here you can see this Flutter Windows stable.zip. So you need to download this zip file and it contains Flutter SDK. And then we are going to put it inside our system. So firstly click on it and it will gonna start downloading Flutter SDK for us. Like there you can see this download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the zip file is downloaded and we need to firstly unzip it. So here we are going to extract it using WinRAR, but you can use any extraction software. So now the extraction is completed and we got this folder. And inside this folder you can see we got this Flutter folder. And this Flutter folder contains Flutter Software Development Kit. So we are going to put it inside our Windows directory. Although it is not necessary and you can put it anywhere, but we are going to select Windows directory. So simply cut it from here and go inside C drive. And here we are simply going to paste it. So now after putting this folder here, we have added Flutter SDK inside our system. But at this point, this Flutter SDK can only be accessed from this Flutter folder. So it means that we cannot access it outside of this Flutter folder. Like here in the search field, if I will type cmd, then it will then open command prompt for me. And then if I will type the command Flutter Doctors, and this command is used to analyze Flutter which is installed inside your system. So if I will type it and press enter, you can see it is not recognizing Flutter as a command. So it means that we cannot access Flutter from here, from this C drive. But if I will open this Flutter folder and then go inside bin, and here I will open cmd again, so type cmd. And now here, if I will type the same command, which is this Flutter Doctor, and press enter, now you can see it returned this output that Flutter version 3.2.2.3 is installed inside our system. And apart from that, it has returned some other information as well. But now to access Flutter from anywhere inside our computer, we need to set environment variable. And to do that, you can simply right-click on this PC and go to Properties. And here select this Advanced System Settings. And then select this environment variables. And now here we need to add the path of our Flutter bin folder to access it from anywhere inside our computer. And you can directly type environment variable here and you will be able to see this window. And then you can open environment variables. So now we need to open our Flutter folder and then inside it go to bin. After that, copy the path of this Flutter bin. And then open this environment variable window. And here in the system variables, you need to find the key, which is path. And if there is no variable with the name path, then you can add a new variable. And here you can specify the variable name to path. And then in the value, you can simply paste the path of bin folder, which we copied. But in our case, we already got this path here. So I will gonna double click. And now here, I will gonna add the path which we copied. So there you can see C, Flutter and bin. After that, press OK and then press OK again. And now we are going to close this window. And after doing that, we will go inside our C drive and then open CMD again. And here we are going to type this Flutter Doctor command. Now press enter and you can see the same detail here, so it means that Flutter is set up successfully inside our system. And now we can access Flutter from anywhere inside our Windows PC. So now after setting up Flutter, the next step is installing Android Studio. So at this point, we have set our Flutter SDK inside our system. But now to develop Flutter applications, we need to install some IDE like Android Studio or Visual Studio, where we are going to write the code for building our Flutter applications. So as we are going to use Android Studio, so we need to firstly install it. And here when we are running Flutter Doctor, we are getting a lot of information. And this information is about the status of Flutter inside our system. Like you can notice that Flutter is successfully installed inside our system and we got this green tick. But here you can notice that for Android Studio we got this warning that it is not installed. So now the next step is installing Android Studio. And to do that you need to open your browser and then you can search for Android Studio. And here you can see the results. Open this first link, which is this developer.android.com studio. And now here you can simply download latest version of Android by clicking on this Download Android Studio button. And here you need to firstly accept their terms. And then click on this download button and our Android Studio will gonna start downloading. And there you can see the download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the download is completed and we got this Android Studio.exe file. So now to install Android Studio, double click on it and it will gonna open the setup for Android Studio installation. And there you can see the setup for Android Studio. So click next. And then select the location where you want to install Android Studio. So I will gonna keep the default location, then press next. And then click on this install button and the installation will gonna start. So here the setup is completed, so press next and then finally click finish and it will gonna launch Android Studio for us. So there you can see it is firstly asking that whether we want to import some settings or not. So we will gonna select do not import setting, then press OK. And after that, you will see this window, so press next. And then you need to select the install type. So you got the standard and custom option, so we will go with standard. And after that, it will gonna download these tools which will be required inside Android Studio. So press next, and then you need to click accept here. And after that, accept these licenses as well. Now press finish and it will gonna start downloading those tools for us. And once those tools are downloaded, They will be included inside Android Studio, and later they will be used while building our mobile applications. So now let's wait for these files to be downloaded. So now all the components are downloaded, so click Finish. And then you will see this window. And here you can create a new project inside Android Studio or open existing one. But to create a new Flutter project, there is a separate button with the title New Flutter Project, and it is not there. And the reason is right now we have just installed Android Studio, and we did not set up Flutter inside Android Studio. And to do that, you need to go to Plugins, and there you need to install 2 plugins inside Android Studio. So the first plugin which you need to install is called Dart, and Dart is the official language for Flutter. So you need to install Dart plugin inside Android Studios. There you can see this plugin, so click Install, and this plugin will be installed in just a second. And there you can see this plugin is installed. And the second plugin which we need is called Flutter. So you can search for Flutter here, but in our case we can already see it here. So click on Install, and this plugin will also be installed. And there you can see this plugin is installed, and now it requires us to restart Android Studio. So click on this Restart IDE button, and then press this Restart. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted, and we got this new Flutter project button here. So it means that Android Studio is successfully installed and Flutter is successfully configured inside Android Studio. And now if you will gonna open command prompt and write the same Flutter Doctor command here, you will be able to see the warning for Android Studio is gone. So there you can see now the warning for Android Studio is gone. And the only issue we have is regarding Android toolchains, and we are also going to correct them. So to resolve this first issue, you need to install command line tools for Android Studio. So open Android Studio, and here you can go to More Actions, and then click on this SDK Manager. And now here you can go to SDK Tools, and select this Android SDK command line tools. And after that, click Apply, and this tool will be downloaded and added inside Android Studio. So press OK, and this download is started. So let's wait for this download to be completed, and after that, this warning will be going from Flutter Doctor. So now these tools are downloaded, so click Finish, and after that, click Apply. Now press OK, and this window will be closed. And after doing that, let's run Flutter Doctor again. And there you can see now upon running this command, we did not get any error. There is only one warning, and that is about Android licenses. So this command line tools error is now gone. So now to resolve this final warning, you need to run this command inside your command prompt. So you can simply copy this command, and after that, you can paste it here inside CMD. Now press Enter. And there you can see it wants us to review licenses that has not been accepted. And here we are going to pass Y because we want to accept them. And after that, pass Y here as well. And then again type Y. And there you can see after accepting multiple times, we got this all SDK package license is accepted. So now after that, if we will run Flutter Doctor again, now you can see everything is set up correctly. So we did not get any error or any warning. So it means that we are ready to develop our Flutter applications. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, you will learn to create an Android virtual device inside Android Studio. So, an Android emulator or an Android virtual device is the replica of a real Android device which will be running on your Windows PC. So basically, we are going to open an Android phone here on screen, and later we are going to install our applications on that device for testing it. So how we can create these Android emulators inside Android Studio? So to create the simulator, you need to click on this More Actions and then go to this Virtual Device Manager. And if you are using some older version of Android Studio, then you will find this option for Android Virtual Device. So once you will click there, you will see this option for creating a virtual device. So click on it. And then here you need to select the device which you want to create. Like you can create different phones, tablets, Wear OS, desktop, TV, automotive and so on. So as phone is selected, so we can see the list of available devices. So you can select any device that you like. Like I will gonna select this Pixel 7 Pro and then press next. And here you need to select the Android version which you want to install on that particular device. So for now, as the stable version is Android 14, so we are going to download this Android 14. And to do that, you can simply click on this download button. And this download will gonna start. And once this download is completed, after that, our Android emulator will be ready. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the Android version is downloaded, so click Finish. And after that, you can select the downloaded version here, which is Android 14, and then press Next. And here you can select the orientation of your device and then click Finish. And our new Android emulator will be created, and there you can see the emulator. And now to launch it, you can simply click on this Run button. So now the emulator which we just created is launched, and you can see this Android device here. And it has a lot of functionality which is similar to your real Android device. And while building our mobile applications, we can install Android applications on this device, and then we can test them. And we are going to do this thing later inside our course. Welcome to this lecture. So now it's time to design our first mobile app with Figma AI. And for that purpose, you can open Figma site or open the desktop application just like I did, and then click on this Make button. And once this window is open, then here you can just simply describe your idea and it will gonna build the design. Also, we got some example or templates which we are not going to explore at this point. But our first application design which we are going to create is a very simple calculator app. And we are keeping things simple so that it will be easier for you to go over the process of designing app with Figma and then implementing it with Cursor. And then later we are going to build advanced applications so that our transition is smooth. So starting from very basic, moving towards advanced. So now to design our calculator application, you can describe that in your own words. Like I'm gonna just say design a beautiful calculator application for mobile. And after that, just simply send this prompt. And here you can see, just like any other AI tool like ChatGPT or etc., it has started the execution. But here the difference is it will gonna create an interactive prototype for our calculator application. So let's wait for this execution to be completed. And then we are going to analyze the design which it created. And there you can see the execution is almost done, and our design will be visible here in just a second. And there you can see during the execution it firstly understood our prompt correctly that I will create a beautiful modern calculator app optimized for mobile devices. And once it created it, then it has provided us the suggestions or enhancement for future as well. So this is the design it created, and now to view it inside mobile, we can click on this mobile preview icon. So there you can see that's how our calculator is looking inside mobile. And you can see this design is not perfect because it should take the height of a mobile preview. So now we can simply mention that here the design is looking good, or if you want to change the color, you can also mention that. But firstly, we are going to say that the design is looking good, but the height of calculator should be such that it will gonna cover the device height. So let's mention that. So here, whatever issue or change you want to make, you can simply mention it in simple plain words, just like I did. So let's send it again. And now let's wait for the response. And now you can see the response is created again, and this time the design is looking quite good. Similarly, if the changes which are made here you don't like those and you want to revert to previous version, you can always click on this version 1 and this restore icon, and it will gonna restore the previous version. So you can switch between versions with these. Also, if you want to make any other change in the calculator app, you can simply mention it and it will gonna change it. Like, let's say make the calculator more modern and elegant. And now let's wait for the response and see what changes it will gonna make. And there you can see the response is completed, and the message is I have transformed the calculator into much more modern and elegant design. And there you can see it has made some color changes, and also the calculator is looking better. So now if it's up to you that if you want to implement this design or the earlier one. So I personally like the earlier one. So if I click on this restore button for version 2, you will gonna notice that it will gonna restore the previous version. So there you can see the previous version is here. Similarly, this calculator here, it is completely interactive. So it means that if we are going to perform some multiplication, you can say it is working. So it means that this is not just a design, it is a complete prototype. And you can simply publish this calculator if you want by clicking on this publish button. And it will be live. So it will gonna provide you a URL using which anyone can open this calculator. So let's try that. So if we are going to click on this publish, it will gonna start publishing our design. And there you can see the publishing is complete, and it provided us this URL. So we can simply copy it and then we can try to open it inside our browser. And there you can see our calculator is here. So it means that in just seconds we have built a web app in Figma which we can publish and share it with anyone. So that's how simple it is. But our goal is to convert this design into a mobile app, and we are going to do that after completing the design. Similarly, if you want to attach your own domain, like you don't want to use this URL, you can also do that inside Figma AI, but we are not going to look at it at this point. But for now, we have created a model-driven calculator, and the next step is converting that design into a mobile application. So now, after designing our application, the next step is building that application with the help of Cursor AI. And to do that, we need to pass our design to Cursor, but we cannot pass the design in this particular format. We actually need to copy this design and put it on a Figma document, because right now we are in Figma Make, but we need to create a Figma file, and there we need to put this design. So let's learn how to do that. So to do that, the simplest thing is we can move to our home screen, and there we can click on this design button, and it will gonna create an empty design or sheet for us. So now here we can simply paste this design, and to do that we can simply click on this copy icon, and it will gonna copy our design on clipboard. Sometime it also add a copy button which you need to click manually, but once it's copied you can simply paste it here. And now you can see our design is here. And now let's say you want to remove this background from here, or you want to change anything, like we want to remove this tab to calculate text, so we can simply select it and then press delete and it will be deleted. Similarly, if we want to change the background to something else, then here we can select this background layer and then we can choose the color here. So let's say instead of this color we want to apply like any other color combination. So we can easily do that. So let's opt for a darker color. So now you can see the dot gradient is applied, so it's entirely up to you that how you want to change it. But we want to go with the default one, so we are going to copy it again and then paste it here again, and then there we have. So we can paste any number of copies that we like. So now after getting our design in this format, we can simply build it with the help of cursor. So we are going to start that inside our upcoming lecture. So see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So now it's time to convert this design into a fully functional Android and iOS application. And for that purpose, the first step is connecting Cursor with Figma. Because in Cursor, we want to implement this application GUI and functionality. But the design is present on Figma, so we need to create a connection between Cursor and Figma. And to do that, the first step is enabling developer mode inside Figma. So one thing is you must have a desktop application of Figma, otherwise this approach will not gonna work. So if you are opening Figma inside your browser, then we will not be able to connect Cursor with Figma at this point. So it's better to install desktop application and then open your design. And after that, in order to do this setup, you can firstly press Shift D, and it will gonna open this detail in the side pane. And now to do this, the first step is enabling developer mode, and to do that you can press Shift D and a window similar to this one will be open. And there you need to click on this Setup Figma MCP. So when you will click on it, you will gonna notice that it's saying server status enabled. So once it's done, then the second thing is inside Cursor. So you can open Cursor, and there you can go to the settings. And now here you will find this tools and MCP. So as you have seen this word MCP in Figma and also in Cursor, so what it is? So MCP is used by AI tools to perform actions. And in our case, we want AI model of Cursor to take design from Figma and then implement it. So now to do this communication or perform this action, we need to enable MCP server on both Figma and Cursor. So now here to complete the setup, you can click on Add Custom MCP. And then you need to open this lecture resources. And there you will find this calculator.lib file. And when you will unzip inside it, you will find the calculator application GUI, which we are going to implement. And the second thing is this configuration file. So in this file, we got this text, so you can simply copy all the content. And then you can replace it here. And after that, press Ctrl S so that the setting is saved. And now once you move back to setting, you should see this Figma is enabled here. So it means that the setup is successful and now Cursor can take the design from Figma and implement it. So this is a necessary setup which we need to do. And now to make sure that we both are on the same page, if you want to implement this exact same Figma design, then you can also take it from this folder. So in this folder we have this calculator.fig file. And to open it inside Figma, you can go to the home page and then here you can click on this import. After that you can drag that file and place it here. And a GUI exactly like this will be open. So you can either use your own calculator application GUI or use their design which we have here in this Figma. And if you want to export your design, like you want to share this design, what you can do is to click on this Figma icon, then go to File, and then press this Save Local Copy. So now it will gonna download your design as a Figma file. So that's how you can export your design and also open it inside Figma. And now inside our next lecture, we are going to implement this design with the help of Cursor AI. So see you in the next lecture. So now it's time to build our first application with the help of Cursor AI. And for that purpose, we need to create a new Flutter project. So you can create it using Terminal, or you can use Android Studio. And if you are using Visual Studio Code, then you can also create it using that. So we are going to open Android Studio and click on New Flutter Project. And here, make sure that Flutter is selected and then press Next. And then here we can name our calculator or our application as My Calculator. And then you can select the project location here and then click Create and a new Flutter project will be created. So there you can see the new Flutter project is created for us. So after creating this project, we need to open it inside Cursor. So for that purpose, you can open Cursor and there you can click on Open Project button. Now move to the location where you have created the project, like we created it here. So select the folder and click open. And our project is open inside Cursor. And now we need to ask Cursor to build our calculator application matching the Figma design. But before doing that, make sure that here agent mode is selected, because in agent mode, Cursor is handling all different things. After that, you can open Cursor, and there you can select the design which you want to implement. So as it's our first time, so we are going to keep things simple. So it means that we are going to drag this inner layer and put it here, and we are going to make our GUI like this, because these gradients can sometimes confuse Cursor, so our GUI will be messed up. So for now, we are going to implement this calculator application GUI, and then we are going to ask Cursor to apply a suitable background. So to do that, you can select this container by clicking on the top, and then you can select this copy link to selection. And by the way, if you want to pass this thing, you can also just simply select it, right click and copy link to selection. But we are going to go with this one. And here, let's say we don't want this tab to calculate text, or remove it. And then again, click on container, copy link to selection. And now we are going to open Cursor and ask it to build a calculator application matching this Figma design. And then paste the link, and now press enter, and it will gonna start the execution. So firstly, it will gonna try to access our design, and if it got it, then it will gonna start the implementation. So there you can see it created this to-do list, and firstly, it is trying to get our design. And it actually got it, so you can see it can access our design. But on our design, there are some extra margins, so maybe it will gonna add those. So let's see the implementation. And after that, we will see what does it build. So basically, you can see it created this to-do list with 5 tasks. So firstly, it will gonna review our Flutter project. Then it will gonna extract the colors, typography, etc. After that, it will gonna implement the screen, then the calculator logic. And finally, it will gonna test things. So let's wait for this execution to be completed, and then we will gonna look at our calculator application. And there you can see the implementation is almost complete, so the new calculator screen and logic are now wired up with no issues. And after that, it is done. So now, after this thing is done, the next step is running our calculator application inside an Android or iOS device. So you can either connect your physical device or launch an Android or iOS emulator. Like we have launched an Android emulator, and we are going to install our application on it. So to do that, we can click on this toggle panel, and it will gonna open this terminal. And here we are going to run our Flutter run command. So this command will gonna detect our emulator and install the application on it. And if there are multiple devices running, then it will gonna ask you to select the device by showing you the number, like 1 for Android, 2 for iOS, and so on. So there you can see our application is installed and launched, but for some reason nothing is visible. So it means that there is some error inside our application. So what you can do is to ask Cursor to correct that error. So it's good that we have faced it. So to do that, in the box, you can type @ and then you can select the terminal. So now we are going to say app is in a start, but nothing is visible. And now let's send it. So now it will gonna check the errors in this terminal and make the correction so that our application will run smoothly. And here for the simulator, let me enable some settings so that we can always see it. So the simulator window always on top should be checked so that it is always visible. So there you can see it has made some corrections. So now in the terminal, type capital R, and it will gonna restart our application. And there you can see the app is restarted, and we got our calculator application. And according to me, this is looking almost 80–90% similar to our design. So let's open the design. And there you can see the button colors and placements are matching exactly, although it is not covering the full screen, which is because of that extra margins. But apart from that, it is looking quite good. So let's test it. So let's do some multiplication. And there you can see the answer is exact. So it means that it's a completely functioning calculator. And you can notice that the gradient on this button and all other colors and placements are matching exactly. But now we can ask Cursor to remove the extra margins. And so that our calculator will gonna cover the screen. So here we can say, app is looking good. Remove extra margins. So, calculator can cover device, width and height. So let's send it and see what adjustments it will gonna make. So there you can see it has done some changes quickly. So let's type capital R or small r again. And there you can see it has made the changes, but now calculator is not looking good. So basically it thought that we wanted it to cover entire screen, but not like this. So we can again ask him that reduce height of button a little and increase top box area. So let's send it. So basically, whatever changes or adjustments you want to make, you can simply type it in simple plain text, like we are doing these adjustments. And there are chances that in your case, you got everything there perfectly in the first attempt. So now let's see what changes it will gonna make. And these will be done instantly because it's not a big application. So after exploring our code, it will gonna make the changes. And after that, we can just simply type capital R or small r. So here let's type R, and there you can see it has reduced the height and increased the area. But still it's not like that, so we can be specific this time. So we can say double the height of top box and adjust buttons accordingly. So there you can see the changes are made. So let's hard restart, and there you can see this time it's looking quite good. Similarly, if you want to further make some change, you can simply describe it and the changes will be made. But overall, our application is looking quite good and we have implemented it. So now after designing our first calculator application and then building it with Cursor, it's time to shift to an advanced application. So this application will not be that much advanced, but it will be a transition from single-screen app to multi-screen app. So the app design which we are going to build is a note-taking application. And to do that, again, we are going to open Figma AI just like earlier and mention that in simple plain English. So we are going to say design a beautiful and modern-looking note-taking mobile application. And then let's send it. And now it will gonna take just a minute or less and build a beautiful design for us. And here we can also mention that our app should have the functionality of adding, deleting, editing, or searching for notes. But we did not mention that because later, once this design is created, then if any of these things is missing, we are going to edit the design again with the help of a prompt, so that you can learn that how to effectively edit your design. So let's wait for this execution and then look at the design. So now the execution is almost completed, and there are chances that you will see a box similar to this one. So basically it is asking if we want to attach a backend to our app or not. So we are not going to do that, so we can ignore it. And now here you can see the design is created, so let's open the mobile preview. And that is our note-taking application. So here let's create a new node to see the actual design. So here on new node screen we can set the title to like car, and then we can mention some detail we need to service it, and then we can select the background color. So let's select this green one and click tick, and there you can see the note is created and it is looking well. Similarly, we can edit it. So if we press, that's the edit, so same dialog, and then this delete. Also, let's create another. So we are going to say sports, And then let's select the same color. And now you can see the second note is created, and also we have this search bar. When we click, it is showing something like this. So here for me this design is looking quite good. But let's say instead of one item in a row, we want a grid, like we want multiple nodes in the same row. Also we want some sample data so that we can see our application better. So we are going to mention that add an option to switch between list and grid view on home screen. So basically we are mentioning that we want an icon or some option using which user can switch between this list view and a grid view. So in grid view there will be multiple items in a single row, and that will gonna look much better. Similarly, we are going to say add some sample nodes so that we can see design clearly. And honestly, I don't like this search bar, so we are going to mention redesign the search bar. And the last thing is, instead of opening a dialog, we are going to mention that for creating and editing a node, a new screen should be open. And now that's our prompt, so let's simply send it, and then we are going to look at the changes. So now here you can see the execution is started. So basically it will going to perform all the operations which we mentioned. So in this prompt, we are not just only changing the design, we are enhancing it with that grid view related functionality, and then also specifying that instead of a dialog, we want separate screen for creating or editing a node. And now let's wait for this execution to be completed. So now you can see it has changed the design, but our sample nodes are not there. So it means that we have to add those. But let's try again. So add some sample nodes and see whether it adds or not. So if it does not, then we can add those by ourselves. But now you can see in the design we have this icon to switch between list and grid view, and it will be clear once our nodes are there. Similarly, the search bar is looking much better now. Apart from that, when we click on this new node, a new screen opens. And here to select the color, this thing is quite small. So now you can see it is looking much better. So let's create one for the moment. So our node is not there, so let's wait for the sample nodes. And if it will not gonna add those, then we are going to mention that while adding a new node it is not visible, and it will gonna correct it. So now the execution is finished, and it's saying it has added 9 more nodes, but nodes are actually not visible, so we can mention that. But on home screen, we are not able to see any node. And there are chances that I'm just the only one getting this error because it behaves differently each time we try it. So in your case, you might not encounter these errors and you are looking at a well-made design. Then after that, you need to convert that design into a Figma file so that we can move towards implementing that design with the help of Flutter AI. So this is a final attempt done by me. And there you can see the execution is finished, and this time we got our sample node. So you can see by default the grid mode is activated and we are able to see 2 nodes in a row. And if we shift to list mode, you can see how beautifully it is shifting there. And in both grid view and list view, the colors are looking quite good. Similarly, let's try to edit a node, and you can see in edit screen, or in case if I did a new screen is open, and same is the case with create node. So that is the design of our nodes app. And now the next step is converting this design into a Figma file. So we are going to try that inside of a next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. So now, after designing this application, it's time to convert this design into a Figma file. So we are going to create a new design document in Figma. And then we are going to firstly copy the home screen in grid mode. So we have copied the design and we are going to place it here. So you can see our design is here. And now the second thing is we are going to open the list view and then copy the design again. So let's paste it here so you can see in case of both list view and grid view we got our design, and we are going to change their width in just a minute. After that, the next thing is our create node screen. So we can like show this create node screen just like this so everything is visible. So let's copy the design and then add it here. And there you can see while copying we will get some errors like this, so we will gonna correct them. And the next thing is editing a node, so let's edit this one. And then the next thing is editing. So editing is similar to creating. So after that, so these are the three screens. So now on this new node screen, what we can do is to crop it so that only the top portion is visible. And to crop those, we have to like crop different layers. So let's try it like this. So this is something manual which I'm doing. So there is a better way to do that. But I prefer like simple things. So now what we can do is to delete the extra ones. Let's select one by one and delete all those. So basically what it's doing is adding that new screen or new node screen on the top of our home screen. So that's why it's visible in the background. So that is our new node screen, and now we are going to crop these other two screens so that they will also match the height of our new node. And it's good to do that because it will not gonna confuse our cursor AI. So it's here we are going to crop those. And we are going to delete this one as well. And now let's do the same for here so that we will have the same height here. And that's it. So that's our design and it's looking much better. And now we are going to implement this design inside our mobile app with the help of Cursor AI. Welcome to this lecture. So now it's time to build our second application with the help of Cursor AI. And this will be a multi-screen North application. And the GUI of this application is quite exciting. So hopefully when it will be built, it will gonna look that much good. So now for building this application, what we need to do is to firstly create a new Flutter project. So you can create that using Terminal or Android Studio. So as for our Flutter app, we have used Android Studio, but this time we are going to open Terminal or Command Prompt. So on Command Prompt, you can simply go to the folder where you want to create the project and then write the command flutter create. And then the name of your app, like we are going to name it My Notes. And then you can simply press enter. And now it will gonna create a new project if Flutter is set up successfully on your system. Otherwise, you can go to Android Studio and create a new Flutter project. After creating this project, we need to simply open that folder inside Cursor. So we can go to Cursor and then we can open this My Notes folder. So click open and our project will be opened here. So now inside this project, we want to implement this multi-screen note-taking application. So to build this application, what we can do is to select all these three screens and then right-click or control-click. And here we are going to group them or create a group. So after that, we can right-click again and then copy the link of these screens. So basically, we have done this so that we can pass all the design at a time to Cursor. Otherwise, we can select one screen and pass it to Cursor to implement it. And then we can ask Cursor to implement second screen and so on. But now we copied all three screens and we can ask Cursor to build this note-taking application. So here we are going to say build a notes application called My Notes and make app GUI exactly like this Figma design. And then we can paste a link. Now let's send it and let cursor do the work for us. So basically again it will gonna firstly try to access our design, and after that it will gonna start the implementation. And this is only possible if the connection between Flutter and cursor is done successfully. So it means that if MCP server is successfully configured, so there you can see it can access our design and we can see it in the side panel. And now it will gonna implement it. So as these are 3 screens, so it will gonna take a little bit of time. So let's see. And there you can see the message. I got existing Flutter start wrap and full Figma layout, so I can create my Notes app UI in Flutter with matching colors. So it means that it has started the work, and now step by step it will gonna complete it. And you can notice that this to-do list is actually containing the layout, like firstly what it will gonna do, then the second step, and then the third. So in the first step it will gonna implement the home screen GUI with both list and grid layout. So as you know, we have added that feature that user can view the notes in list and grid layout. Apart from that, it has noted that it has a header, search bar, notes card, floating add button. Then secondly, it will gonna create a note edited screen where user can also pick color and edit or create note. And in the third step, it will gonna verify all the functionality. So let's wait for this execution, and once done, we are going to install this application in both Android and iOS and test it. So now the execution is done, which means that our Notes app code is written by cursor. And now it's time to run this application and test it. So as we already got our emulator running, so here we are going to install it by clicking on toggle pan and then running flutter run command. So now it will gonna detect this emulator and install our application. And there are chances that we will get some compilation errors. So whatever the case, you can simply pass your terminal here and send it. Cursor will gonna auto detect the error and resolve it. So there you can see, luckily we did not face any error, and our application is here. So you can notice that the similarity is absolutely spot on. So it has also added some sample notes, and if we click on grid button, and it's also functional, so let's open our design so that we can do the comparison. And you can notice that everything is spot on, so let's click on any note. And nothing is happening, so it means that let's click on edit icon. So by clicking on edit icon, the edit screen is open where we can edit it. So here if we select a different color, so color is not being applied, but that's not a problem because we can correct it. Similarly, click save. And now let's try to create a new note. So here we are going to say the title like sports, a test note. And now try to change the color, so color is not like visible here at this point. So let's click save. And you can see our new note is added and the color is actually being applied. So it's only not being changed when we are opening the note detail. Like here, if we select this orange and click save, you can see the color is changed here. Similarly, let's try to test the search functionality. So sports, and you can see only this note is visible. And now we can test delete, so click delete and it is deleted. So it means that it has built this perfect looking notes application for us. But now the only issue is on the edit screen. When users select a different color, the background of this screen is not being changed. Also, we can ask it to replace this setting icon or remove it completely because this bar should be there always. So now let's make these changes. So we can simply describe those in simple plain text. So on create note screen. Also, when users select a color, the background of create note is not being changed in real time. So let's send this prompt. So basically we have described what we want in simple plain text. So we have asked it to remove the setting icon, and also when user changes the color, the background is not being changed as per selected color. So in just few seconds it will gonna make those changes and we will gonna test our application again. So there you can see the changes are almost made. So let's simply type capital R here and our application will be restarted. And now let's click on edit icon for some note. And now here if we change the color, you can see that color is being changed in real time. Similarly, the icon is gone, so it means that now our app is completely functional. Similarly, now after building this application, you are in a position to create any application design in Figma and implement it in Cursor with the help of simple prompts. Welcome to this lecture. So now it's time to design a futuristic AI meal planner application. And to design that application, we can follow the earlier approach, which is describing our idea in simple plain text, or we can be specific this time. So we are going to follow the second approach, which means that we are going to pass a detailed prompt here so that the design created in your case or in my case looks similar. And if not, then you can always take my design and implement it when we are going to implement this design with the help of Cursor AI. And the only reason for doing this is we are on the same page. So now to design our AI meal planner application, we are going to use a detailed prompt prepared by me. So in this lecture resources or course resources, you will find this meal planner prompt.pdf. So here in this PDF, we have prepared that prompt, so let's look at it closely. So design a modern, friendly, and easy-to-use mobile meal planner app with onboarding and personalized meal planning. And here, if you want to assign a specific name to the application, you can mention that meal planner app, named, and then mention the name, and then the rest of thing. After that, we are clearly specifying the screens which we want. So firstly, we want a splash screen. So a splash screen is the first animated screen which is visible when we open any application. And it is displayed for just a second or two, and then user moves to the home screen. So that screen is called splash screen, which is the first screen of our app. After that, we want login and sign up screens. Then we want 8 to 10 onboarding screens. So basically in meal planner application, we need to ask user about his goal, diet type, allergies, activity level, meal timing, current weight, target weight, age, and height. So we are going to take all this data on onboarding. After that, we want AI-generated meal plan overview screen showing daily meal for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And then we want a meal detail screen where user can see the detail for a meal, like the name of meal, calories, micronutrients, quick recipe, and etc. And then on onboarding, we want a progress indicator to indicate the current onboarding screen. After that, we want a profile screen where user can see his profile because he is logging in or creating his account. And then we have this preference screen where he can edit the selections which he made on onboarding. After that, we are mentioning some instructions that create a friendly, modern look with soft colors and mentioning the color green, whites, and light neutrals. So here, if you want a specific color, you can mention its name. We want buttons to be rounded and also the cards to be rounded. Apart from that, the text should be clear, readable, and use large icons. The design should be free, feel modern, professional, and visually appealing, ready for conversion into mobile apps. It means that this prompt is very detailed and mentioning exactly what we need. So what you can do is to simply copy this prompt, and then we are going to open our magic Figma editor. And there we are going to paste it, and now let's send it and wait for the magic. As you know, it is a very detailed design, so it will gonna take a minute to generate it. So let's wait for it, and then we are going to check that design. So now the execution of our prompt is completed, which means that it has created that very detailed design. And now to see it from start, we can click on this reload icon and it will gonna show us the first splash screen. So as mentioned, it will be visible for a second or two. So that is the beautiful splash screen. So after that, we are automatically moved into login screen. So here, user need to enter his email and password, or on sign up, he can create an account. So to log in, you can use any credentials here. So it will just gonna check that the email is proper or not. And now let's click sign in, and there you can see this is our onboarding screen. So first onboarding screen is about user goal. So he can select like lose weight or any other thing. So let's select this one, then press next, and then the next thing is the diet type. So let's say he is vegetarian. Then press next. The next one is allergies, so let's say none. Activity levels, so let's select it. The number of meals, so let's select 4 meals. And then the weight, so let's 89. And the target weight should be 78. And the age should be 28. And next, and the height should be 190. And then complete. So you have seen our onboarding screen. So those were exactly like we described inside our prompt. And now once it's done, it has created a meal plan for us. So this is our dashboard where AI will gonna generate the plan based upon the selections. So when we are going to implement it, we are going to use popular AI models for creating that custom, completely functioning meal plan. So here you can see as we selected 4 meals, so it created breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks. And if we click on any meal, this is our meal details screen where he can see the micronutrients, details and so on. So he can also mark as complete, so this is not functioning, and also see other details. Similarly, apart from that, we have our profile screen, so here he can see his selections, and then this edit preference. So here he can edit the things which he selected on onboarding. So this is exactly which we requested. And now if you want the design to be more modern or something else, you can simply mention that. So we are going to try that, because we can always move to our previous design by using this variant system. So let's say make the whole app design more modern and futuristic, especially redesign the dashboard. So the current one is not looking that much good, so let's use a new one and send it. So let's wait for the execution to be completed and see what does we get this time. And now the execution is completed, and this time you will be surprised by the results. There you can see this is a very modern looking and futuristic design which is created. So here again we got the meal for today. Then user can see the items and also the breakdown. So let's look at the screen. So I will gonna refresh this design. So that is our modern looking splash screen, and that's the login. And after that, let's look at the sign up. And now here, let's simply log in again. And then enter some password. And these are our new onboarding screens. So here this time, let's cover them quickly. So you can notice that everything is looking much better now. And now we are on final few screens. And that's our dashboard. And now let's open a meal detail screen so you can see it is designed beautifully again. And now on profile, so everything which is done is perfect. Similarly, we can open our preference screen so there user can edit it, and it is also modern looking. So now we are going to implement this design with the help of Cursor AI. So it means that we are going to build a fully functional meal plan application. With Cursor AI, we are using actual AI. We are going to create a completely functional meal plan for user. And to do that, firstly, we need to convert this design into Figma file so that we can do that. So we are going to do that inside of a next lecture. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So now it's time to convert this design into a Figma file. So again, we are going to repeat the process. So I have created a new Figma file here, and now we are going to copy the screens one by one. So firstly, we are going to copy the splash screen. So here, as soon as it's visible, we are going to click on this copy button. So we have copied that design, and now we are going to paste it here. So that's our splash screen. And then we have our login screen, so you need to repeat it and then do it for all screens. So the second one, then we can get the sign up. And here if you want any change, like you want to add an option of sign in with Google, which we are going to implement, you can also do that. So for now, let's go with this design, and we are going to log in to see our onboarding flow. And that's it. So there you can see the complete design. So now press Shift and -sign to zoom out and see. So there are basically, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 screens in total, and we are going to implement each and everything with the help of Cursor to build this fully functional application. For now, we have created a Figma design and converted it into a .fig file so that we can share this design with our developer or build it by ourselves with the help of Cursor AI. And now it's time to build our big application, which is AI Meal Planner. So for this application, we are going to divide it into 3 parts and then start its implementation. So the first part is this splash and login sign up. So firstly, we are going to build these screens, and then we are going to create these 8 onboarding screens. After that, we are going to create our home screen, meal detail, profile, and preference screens. That's how we are going to build this application. And for this purpose, we have to firstly create a new Flutter project. So you can use Android Studio, but we are going to use Terminal. So firstly, let me go to our Studio project section, project folder, and there execute the command Flutter create my meal plan. And then let's run it. And there you can see it has created the project. So now let's open this folder inside Cursor. So we are going to click Open Folder, Studio Project, and My Meal Plan. So select the folder, then open it. And there you can see. So now here we need to write the prompt for creating screens of our meal plan application. And while building this application, we are going to learn some important app development concepts. And one of those is using API, using which we are going to create our meal plan. But we are going to learn these things step by step. So the first step is creating our splash screen and this login sign up screen. So what we can do is to select all these 3 screens and then right click or control click. And after that, we can select this group selection. So it means that we have created a group for these screens. And now we can copy the link of these screens and pass them to our cursor. And here, before executing it, make sure that in the setting this MCP server is enabled. And sometimes you need to make toggle this way so that it is active. So now here we are going to paste the Figma link and ask cursor that build splash login and sign up screens for our app named my meal using attached Figma design. Make sure that the GUI and colors are matching exactly. Also, for now, use local storage for login and sign up. So what does that mean? So it means that for now we are going to use the full storage for creating account and logging in. We are not using some online database like Firebase because we want to keep things simple. But later we are going to shift to Firebase, so that's a different topic and we are going to cover it once our app is functional. So now that's our prompt, so let's send it and wait for the response. So it should access our design first and then implement those screens. After that, we are going to create the next screens. So here we can also group all the screens that was and pass to cursor. But in that case, cursor might not interpret the designs or the flow correctly. So in order to keep things simple so that you can follow me along with the lectures, we are dividing it into parts and implementing it in parts. So here you can see it got our design. So now it will gonna create a to-do list and start the implementation. So there you can see it has created this to-do list. So let's wait for this response to be completed. And then we are going to run our application and see whether these screens are implemented correctly or not. So there you can see the execution is completed. So it means that the screens are implemented and you can read the instructions in the end. So basically it is mentioning that it has implemented a splash screen, login screen with local storage auth and then the sign up screen. So to confirm that everything is working correctly, let's run our application. So we are going to execute Flutter run command and then open our emulator and then open an Android emulator. So our app will be installed here in just a minute. And there are chances that in your case there are some compilation errors. So in that case, you can select them and pass them to cursor again and ask it to resolve. But in our case, I think we have not encountered any errors, so let's see. So there you can see the execution is done and our app is being installed. And there you can see we got our splash screen and then we got our login and that will be our sign up. So click on it and that's our sign up. And now to do the comparison, let's open the Figma design and zoom in a little to see the screens clearly. So these were the screens. And now let's open our app. And here you can see the logo is matching, but it's not exact. Similarly, on login screen, the GUI is matching significantly, but the background is not. So background is a little different. So we can say remove the boxes from background and then it will be good to go. Similarly, on sign up, we have those rounded circles, so we can ask it to remove those circles, otherwise things are looking good. And now we are not going to test it further at this point. We are going to create onboarding and then we are going to test it. So we are going to select the next batch. So let's select all 8 onboarding screens. And we are going to group them, so select Group Selection. And then right-click again and copy link to selection. So firstly, we can mention that on Splash, Login, and Sign Up, remove circles from the background. Then we are going to mention after sign up, user should complete onboarding flow. So create onboarding screens exactly like this Figma design and send it. So that's our prompt. So we are resolving the issues in the first build, like we are changing the background a little and then asking it to implement the onboarding flow exactly like our Figma design. So there you can see it has accessed our design and now it will gonna implement it. So let's wait for this execution to be completed and then we are going to test our application. So now the execution is completed, so let's look at the response. So it's mentioning the changes made, so it removed the circles. And then it created the onboarding flow. And it is mentioning that, so user is taken straight into onboarding instead of back to login. So upon sign up, user will be moved to onboarding. So what we can do is to simply restart our application. So type capital R and our app is restarted, so that's our meal plan, and now it's looking much better because the circles are gone. And now on sign up, let's create an account, so we can say open a keyboard, and below we got some overflow error, so we can resolve it. But for now, let's test things, so test, and we are going to use this test @test.com. And then for password, we are going to mention like 1 to 6 or 1 to 8 and then click create account. So it's saying agree to terms, so let's check this box and create account, and there you can see we are on our onboarding flow. So let's open our design so that we can do the comparison in between. So firstly we got our goal screen, so the GUI is similar but not matching exactly. So then we can select something. Then we have our type which is correct, so it's using the same GUI. Then we can select energies, then activity level. After that, let's select 4 meals a day. And then let's train the rate horse keep 70 there. And we are going to use like 60 there as our target rate. Then our age and height. So let's click compete. And once we're done, we are moved to login because we have not implemented the part where we are going to create the AI meal plan. So now what we can do is to ask cursor to resolve this overflow error on sign up when the keyboard is open. And the second thing is we can pass one of those screens and ask cursor that make GUI of onboardings like that screen, like the bottom dots are missing and also the selections should appear like this. So we have to describe our design a little and also pass a screen. So what we can do is to ungroup this box here. And we are going to use, let's say, this screen and we are going to copy it. And now let's pass instructions to cursor and ask it to customize things. So firstly, we are going to mention the issue that on sign up, when keyboard opens, there is an overflow. Kindly fix that. So the error which we cite is actually called overflow error. So we have mentioned that, fix that. And now the second thing is make onboarding GUI is like selection of item and colors like this Figma design. And then pass the design. Also add bottom dots showing current screen. So we have mentioned all the things in simple plain text, so let's send it and then we will see the result. So now the execution is completed. So let's quickly test the changes. So let's simply hard restart and open a emulator. So there you can see the app is opened again. And this time on sign up, if we open a keyboard, you can see there is no error, but below we got a box, so there is not a box, so everything is looking good. So it means that the changes are done or the fix is made. And now let's open onboarding again by quickly filling the form. And there you can see it has made changes on the onboarding flow and it has added the dots. The colors are looking much better and the selections are looking similar. So we can notice that the selections are exactly the same. So that's a good thing. So let's do the testing. So You can see the top boxes are also similar. Once we are going to complete the flow, then again it will gonna move us to login screen because we have not implemented the meal planning part. So what we can do is to ask Cursor to implement the meal planning part now. So that's the only thing left. So now it's time to implement the main part, which is this dashboard, a meal details screen, profile and preference screen. So here what we can do is to divide it further. So we can first implement this meal planner and meal details screen, and then we can implement the profile and preference. So what we can do is to ungroup those because I grouped them earlier. And now we are going to copy or group these two screens. So let's group selection and then copy link to selection. And now ask Cursor that once a user will create an account or login and he completes the onboarding, then based upon his data, we need to create a meal plan. So create this meal plan and meal details screen as per this Figma design. And then in how to create that meal plan, we are going to use an AI model. So we need to mention that which AI model we want to use. So we can use any AI tool which is available, like we can use ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek and others. So as ChatGPT is the one which we are going to use, so we are going to mention that for generating meal plan, use ChatGPT API. And now we are going to learn about these APIs and how to set them up for generating that meal plan. But firstly, let's generate the screens and the code for that. So let's send this prompt, and now it will gonna implement those two screens for us. And once done, then we are going to learn about APIs and create and set up API for our application. And there you can see the execution is started. So firstly, it's reviewing the Figma design, and then it will gonna access it. So there it got our design, and now it will gonna start the implementation. So let's wait for this execution to be completed, and then we are going to do the remaining setup. So now the execution is done. So let's look at the changes it made. So firstly, it's saying user signs up or logs in, then he will gonna complete the onboarding. On final onboarding step, it will gonna store an app navigate to meal planner screen. So on meal planner screen, we are going to generate that plan using ChatGPT API. So we need to generate a key on ChatGPT and add it here so that our app can connect with ChatGPT. And that is something which we do with the help of API. So before testing our application, let's understand about APIs and add the key inside our application. And then we are going to test our application. So what is an API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. So in simple words, it is a method using which two computer programs communicate with each other. So let's understand API with the help of an example. So suppose we want to build a weather application in which user will enter the name of a city, and our application will gonna display the current weather of that city. So to build this application, we need weather data. And to get this data, we can either use a weather platform like Open Weather app, or we can collect this data by ourselves. So as we cannot collect the data of every city by ourselves, so we can use this weather platform which collects the data from all the cities. So now from our application, we are going to pass the name of city to this platform, and this platform will gonna return us the detail or weather detail of that city. So there will be a communication between our application and this platform to achieve that. And this communication is possible because of APIs. So to achieve that, we are going to use the API provided by this platform. So in actual, from our application, we are going to hit a URL provided by this platform along with the city name. And hitting this URL is actually called making an API call. So when we say we are making an API call, then it means that we are hitting a URL from our application along with some data. And when that URL will be executed, the servers of that platform will gonna take the data from that URL and return the result based upon the URL. So when we are going to hit this URL, then the servers knows that they need to return the weather detail of this particular city. And once they are going to return the data, we can read it and display it to the user as per our needs. So this is the whole process of making an API call. So when we are using an API of a platform, we are basically hitting some URLs with instructions provided by that platform. And hitting those URLs will gonna provide the data inside of our application, which we can display to the user on screen. And now let's look at components of API calls. And the first one is endpoint. So endpoint is actually the URL which we are hitting. So you can consider endpoint as a specific address where we are sending our request. So in case of our weather application, we are hitting this URL. So this first part of this URL is our endpoint, and it is indicating that we want to get current weather data. So when this endpoint will be executed, a specific function will be executed on server. And the next thing is parameter. So parameters are extra details which you add to your request to specify that which certain data you want to get. So in case of our weather application, we are passing this parameter with the name city, and the value of this parameter will be the name of city for which we want to get current weather data. So this part is the endpoint, and this part which is after this question mark is the parameter. And after parameters, the next thing is header. So headers are extra pieces of information which you include inside your request to tell the server about the data which you are sending. So in header, we usually pass a field called content type, and there we can specify the type of data or content we are sending. And then we usually pass an API key in the header, which is used by server to authenticate that whether we can access their API or not. And we are going to use these things inside our application. And the next thing is the body of our API request. So body is the part where we put the actual data which we want to send to the server. So let's say we are creating a new account by making an API call, and in that case we need to send the username and the email to the server. So we are going to include this information in the body of our API request, and our header will gonna indicate that what type of data we are including in the body of our API request. And the next thing is HTTP methods. So when we make API calls, then from our application we need to select a property called HTTP method, and after selecting this HTTP method we make API calls. So these methods are actually verbs that tell the server what action you want to perform. So we can select 4 different HTTP methods, and they are get, post, put, and delete. So here the first one is get, so it is used when we want to make an API call to get some data from the server. Like we are making an API call to get the weather data, so in that case we are going to use get HTTP method. And if we want to send some data to the server, then we use a method called post. So you can consider like creating a new account. So in that case, we are going to send username and password or email address. So in that case, we are going to use post method. And if you want to update something on the server, like changing user email address or username, then you use a method called put. So this is basically for updating data on server. And the final method is delete. So as the name suggests, it is used to delete some data from a server. Like if user want to delete a certain profile, then he will gonna use this delete method. So these are different components of API, and we are going to use them while making API calls inside our application. So now after understanding the basic concept of API, let's integrate that API inside our application. So basically in our case, we want to send a user data like his weight, age, his goal, dietary preferences and other things to our GenAI model or ChatGPT model, and then that model will gonna generate that plan and return to our application. So this communication between our application and ChatGPT model is done through API. So now what you need to do is to open your browser and search for platform open AIs. So to access their API, we need to go to platform.openai.com. So this is the link, so just click on it and the dashboard will be open. So there you can see the detail page is open. So now here you need to log in using your Google account. After that you can go to dashboard. And there we need to create an API key, but we cannot create this API key for free. So it means that for using ChatGPT API, we need to add some balance. But that balance would not be MySu by adding a $5 into ChatGPT account. It can be used for a long period of time, like in my case if I go to setting. And there if I go to billing. You can notice that my current credit is 3.15 and I have just added $5 few months back, so it means that it is not using that much. And especially in our case as we are going to do the text related work, because we are going to pass the user data to ChatGPT model in the form of text and get the response in the form of text, so it will not gonna charge us a lot. And we are also going to look at how much each model will gonna charge later. But for now here you can attach your payment method and we charge it for $5. And once done, then you can go to API key section. And there you can create a new key. So to do that, you can enter a key name here, like we can say my meal plan. And then make sure that the permission is selected to all, then click create secret key. And it will go and generate this key for you. So after generating the key, what you can do is to ask cursor that I have generated this API key on OpenAI. And now it will automatically going to add the key at its appropriate position. And here one mistake which we have made is not ask cursor to create separate files for each screen. So normally cursor creates a separate file, but in our case it has done everything in a single file, which is main dot dot. So if you are building this application, then I recommend that mention that explicitly, that create a separate file for each screen. It will gonna help you debug the app better. And here you can see after pasting the key, it is asking it is not saved to include it in the code. So what it's saying is, we should run the command like while running our application, we should pass our key in the command just like this. But what we are going to do for testing purposes, we are going to say him kindly replace it in the code for now. So basically it's saying it's better to place that key directly in the code. But for now, just to test or keep things simple, we are asking him to put it there. Or the second way is while running our application, we can paste the key. So let's see whether it does that or not. So it's still denying that. So what we can do is to run our application using this. So we are going to make or paste our key somewhere so that we have a copy. And then we are going to copy this command and then quit our application. So in the terminal type Q and it will gonna quit our application. And then we can paste a command. And then we can copy the key again and paste it here. And now let's run our application. So in your case, if like it did not provided a command similar to this and you want to hard code, and then you can, it will gonna provide you the location where you need to add the key. Like in our case, we can search for underscore API key. So here what we can do is to remove this line and paste our key inside double quotation. So But for now, we are not going to do that as we have passed it in the environment variable. So it means that the key is not part of our code, but app can take it from the command using which we have run our application. So now here, as for previous account, we did not complete the onboarding. So it has opened the onboarding again. So let's make the selections quickly. And select like 5 minutes a day and the weight. So here we have to correct this thing, like it has hard-coded this, for example, text as well, so you can ask cursor to correct it. And everything else is looking good. And now we have submitted it. So now what it should do, if it is working correctly, then it should create a meal plan and show us our meal plan on screen. So let's see what happens here. And there you can see we got a meal plan here. So let me open the Figma design so that we can do the design comparison as well. So there you can see this is our dashboard and it is looking quite similar to this design. So most of the things are added accurately. There are a few things which need to be improved, but we can ask cursor to improve it. And now here we can see whether it created a real meal plan or not. So it created a breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks. So the data is actually real and it's coming from ChatGPT, but it did not created 5 meals because we selected 5 meals a day. So, yeah, but this data is real, and if I click anywhere, we are going to the meal details screen, and here we have ingredient and instructions, and then this market complete button. So it means that we are successfully establish a connection with ChatGPT and able to generate the meal plan, and now we can make a lot of improvements inside this application. And now there is one thing important, and that is, if in your case, by specifying the key just like this is not working, then you should read the instructions clearly that maybe you need to add your key statically in the code. So in that case, what you can do is to go to the location where cursor is pointing, and there you can remove the value from this API key, and inside double quotations you can paste your key. So this is statically adding your key, so I have added it here. So now it means that we don't need to include it inside of a run command. So far now we can do it like this, and later we can make it secure. Welcome to this lecture. So now before making any more changes in the app, let's simply run it inside an iOS simulator and see if our application works equally well on an iOS device or not. So if you are on Windows, then you can skip this lecture because you cannot run it on an iOS device if you are using Windows. But inside a Mac, we are going to launch a simulator. So search for simulator. And then here we are going to open this 17 Pro Max. And after that, once it's opened, we are going to execute our Flutter run command. So there you can see it's open, so let's run this command. And now our app will be installed inside it in just a minute. And there are chances that we might get some error. So in that case, we are going to ask cursor to resolve it. So let's wait for it, and then we are going to check the results. So there you can see our build is completed, and now it will be installed in just a minute. So there you can see the app is being installed, and that's our splash screen. And now here, let's sign up. So we are going, as we are using a local database, so we can repeat the credentials. So test@test.com, and use the password like 1 to 6. And then click create account. So now we are on our Google screen, so make the selection. So let's say vegetarian, and allergy is none. Then we are going to select activity level, and let's go with 4 meals. And then the weight with 70, target weight, so let's change it 65, then the age to 25, and then press complete. So now it will gonna generate that meal plan for us and show it here just like Android. And there you can see our meal plan is generated. And you can notice that there are 4 meals, so basically 3 meals and a snack. And then if we see the breakdown, it seems correct like there are 450 into 550,000 and 650 and 345. There are almost 2,000 calories. Similarly for protein, we got 3555, which is 90, then 100 and 150, so we got 100 protein. So everything is actually being calculated well. Similarly, if we open the detail screen, you can notice that the details are there as well. So it means that our application is working equally well on an iOS simulator. And now we are going to enhance this application and add the missing parts. So now let's add the missing part. So one thing is we are going to add our profile screen and then the preference screen. So here what we can do is to group both of these screens. And so select group selection and then copy link to selection. After that, we are going to ask cursor to implement these two. So we can paste the link and ask cursor implement profile and preferences screen as per Figma design. And then we will mention that make both screens completely functional and provide an option to navigate from dashboard to profile screen. And that's it. So let's send this prompt and it will gonna do the work for us. So let's wait for the results to be done. And then we are going to look at our application. And there you can see the execution is started and it got our design. And now it will gonna implement things. So now the execution is completed. So let's look at the result. So it's saying that it has implemented the profile screen and the preference screen. So let's test our application. So we are going to type capital R so that the app will be installed or refreshed inside the iOS simulator. So there you can see after we have refreshed, then it showed us the splice screen, and now we will be on the dashboard screen. So here our meal plan should be loaded in any minute. And the next thing which we are going to do in this application is making sure that meal plan is not being generated each time, and instead it's being saved in the device and it will be loaded instantly. So now here you can see it has added this profile icon, so let's click on it and our profile screen is opened. So on this screen we got some information which we entered during our sign up. So the top portion is not actually matching, so let's open the Figma design. So here, compare it with the simulator. So the GUI is matching but not exactly, so there are slight differences. But this personal detail and bottom box is matching. So now let's look at the preference. So we will click on preference and its GUI is also kind of matching. So here we can see our previous selections and have this restart onboarding. And when pressed, it will gonna restart the onboarding process. So let's test it. So this time we will gonna select keto, shellfish, very active. And we are going to select 3 meals a day. Then we are going to keep things same. And now it will gonna regenerate our meals. So let's see what does we get here. So there you can see it has generated the meal again. And this time it has provided us 3 meals and a snack. So we have to make few adjustments inside this application. But for now our profile and preference screen is created and it is working quite well. We have to change the GUI of the top portion so we can mention that in a prompt. Apart from that, we need to make sure that our generated meal plan is being saved so you don't have to generate the meal plan each time. So now it's time to make a very important enhancement inside this application. So here, if we are going to press capital R, you can notice that our application is restarted, and here it will gonna show us meal plan in some duration. So I suspect that our generated meal plan is not being saved, and each time our app is open, it is being generated using ChatGPT API. So we don't want that. We want that when user will gonna complete the onboarding, then his meal plan will be created, and after that, that meal plan should be saved. So now to do that, here we can mention that in the app, generated meal plan should be saved in local storage and not generated each time when user closes the app and open it again. But if he edit his preferences, then an updated meal plan should be generated and saved. So this is a very important prompt because it will gonna determine the behavior of our application. So now we are specifying that meal plan will not be generated each time, but once generated it will be saved and shown to user. But if user edit his preferences, then the meal plan will be generated again. And now another thing which we can mention is also meal plan should be based upon user preferences. Like if user selects 3 meals in RD, then 3 meals should be generated. So that's the prompt. So let's send it and wait for the changes to be made. So once done, we are going to test the behavior of our application again. And now the execution is done, and you can read the instructions, the changes which it has made. So let's simply restart our application. And there you can see upon restarting, we encountered these errors. There is some compilation errors, so we are going to select the line and pass it to the model again. So now it will gonna resolve those quickly, and then we are going to test our application. So now it seems resolved. So let's restart our application, and this time it is done successfully, though it means that the errors are gone. So now here we are going to generate the meal plan again. So go to Edit Preferences and then restart onboarding. And we are going to generate 5 meals. So let's select this and then press complete. So here, upon clicking on complete button, it is actually regenerating the meal, but it is not showing us the progress here. So we can mention this error to cursor and it will gonna fix that. So in just a minute, we will be moved to our dashboard again. And in your case, it's not necessary that you are getting the same error. And there you can see our meal plan is generated again, and as we have selected 5 meals. So you can see it has generated a meal plan with 5 meals. Similarly, if we click on any of the meals, you can see the details here. And now, apart from looking at this meal for this day, we can also add the functionality to generate the meal plan for entire week. So we might try to do that inside our upcoming lectures, but for now, we have completed the flow of our application, where user can sign up, then complete the onboarding and see the meal plan. Similarly, he can edit the preferences, see his profile, and generate the meal plan again. And here, the few things are missing. One is logout functionality, and also we need to correct the top portion of profile and preference screen. So we are going to correct that inside of our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So now let's make few corrections. So the first one is we are going to add a logout functionality on this profile because we cannot log out at this point. So we can mention that on profile screen, add a logout button. Also, make sure that status bar or top portion of profile and preferences screen has same color as a bar. So basically we are mentioning that the background color of bar top portion should be same as this app bar. So let's send it, and these changes will be done quickly. And there you can see the execution is done. So let's test the changes. So we are going to type capital R and our app is restarted. And now on profile screen, you can see the top portion is looking a little better. So the color is not changed, but the spacing is removed. Similarly, if we scroll down, we can see the logout button. But before that, let's go to preference. So it's also looking fine, although not completely resolved. And now let's click on logout, and we are moved to login again. So here, if we restart our application, you can see now we are on login screen, and here we can log in using our existing account for test@test.com. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then sign in. So it's saying sign in, but we are not moved to dashboard. So it means that this is an issue, so we can resolve it. But if we are going to type capital R, it will gonna take us to our onboarding, but it should not because we already have the account. So there are two errors inside our app at this point. One is on login screen when we enter correct password and email. It says login but does not move to dashboard. And if user have already completed onboarding and he has a meal plan, then upon login he should not see the onboarding. So now we need to describe these errors here, so we can simply mention that in simple plain text. So in your case, if you are facing different one, you can mention those. So the first error is login screen upon clicking on button. It says logged in but does not move to next screen. Also, if user already have a meal plan, then upon login he should see it directly and not see onboarding. So these are two issues, and I mentioned it in simple plain text. So let's wait for their resolution. So there you can see it has made the correction. So let's simply restart our application. And there, after splash, it's again showing us the onboarding. So let's complete it, and so there you can see our generated meal plan. And now if we log out, we are on login screen, and there, if we type the credentials and the password and click sign in, again it's doing onboarding, so this is not corrected. Although the first error is fixed, that upon clicking on login button it is moving to the next screen. So we can mention that still, after login, we are seeing onboarding. Although we completed that at the time of sign up. So fix that. So now the changes are made, so let's restart our application again. So let's restart our application, and here we are going to generate it for the funnel time, and hopefully now once the meal plan is generated, it is setting up the flag or making the change so that the next time we log in, it is directly taking us to the meal screen. So there you can see our meal plan screen, and if we log out and then log in, and here we type the password and then click sign in, and now you can see we are on our meal planner screen immediately. So it means that the error are fixed. Similarly, in your case, whatever error you are getting, you can simply mention it and it will be corrected. And now it's time to make an enhancement inside this application, and that enhancement is, instead of creating a meal plan for a day or fixed meal plan for all the days, we are going to generate a meal plan for whole week, and we are going to provide you there an option to see the meal plan for entire week, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and so on. So here we are going to mention that now we want to generate meals plan for all days of week. So on home screen, there should be tabs to select day of week, and he will see meal plan for that day. So we can have a horizontal list showing days of week. And just to be clear, so that it will gonna generate a unique or a meal plan specific to each day. So at the time of meal generation, kindly generate that meal for 7 days of week. So remove this dat so that we will be specific. And then we can also mention that when meal is being generated, kindly show a progress screen. Meanwhile, so it means that when the meal is being generated, we will gonna see a progress screen indicating how much the meal is generated. So let's send this prompt. And as it is some major change, so it will gonna take a minute or two. So let's wait for this execution. So now the execution is done, and here you can see what it has done. So first time it will gonna generate 7 days of meal plan with progress indicator. After that, user can do the day selection, and the meal plan will be stored locally. And when user will gonna change the preference, all the meal plan will be generated again. So now here, before testing our application, what we can do is to quit our application and then remove it, because now we want to generate a new meal plan. So here let's delete it and then run Flutter run command again. And our app will be installed. And this whole change can be tricky because there are chances that we will get a compilation error or a functionality error. But any type of error which you are facing, you can simply describe it to cursor and it will gonna resolve within seconds. So let's wait for the app to be installed and then we are going to rest it. And there you can see in no time our app is installed, and now we can simply sign up again because we have removed our app earlier. So here, test at did a test. And then we are going to add the password. And then click create account. So here we need to select the preferences. So let's go with vegetarian and allergies to like none. Then go with moderate active. Then let's generate 5 meals a day. Then press next and complete. So now it will gonna generate that meal plan, and once done we will be able to see the meal. And here when we are clicking on complete button, it is not moving us to a progress screen. So we can mention that there is no progress screen when the meal is being generated, and it will gonna add that later. But for now let's wait for it. And there you can see the meal plan is generated. So as it was generating it for a whole week, so it took a lot of time. So it's important to have that progress screen. So here you can see added Thursday. So it is selected by default and we are seeing this meal plan, and if I change it, let's say Wednesday. So you can see we got a different meal plan for it. Similarly for Tuesday and Monday, and if we scroll we can see that. So now it means that it has generated a unique meal plan based upon user selection for each day of week. And we got this overflow error, so we can simply select it and add to our chat and then mention that on home screen in this selection, we have overflow. So correct it. And the second problem is when a user click on complete button on last onboarding, user is not moved to progress screen where he sees an animation that your meal is being generated. So kindly fix that. So let's send this prompt, and now we're gonna make it so that the overflow error is gone, and also when we are generating a meal, we will see an animated screen. Meanwhile, the meal is being generated. So here you can see, we can explore it further and notice that the meal plan is actually based upon user preferences. So we have selected vegetarian, so it did not added any item which contains some meat. Also, we have added the allergy of dairy products, so it did not include yogurt or any other item related to dairy. So there you can see it has made the fixes. So let's restart our application. And now you can see the error is gone and it is looking quite good. So we can see the meal plan for each day. And now let's edit our meal plan. So we are going to generate, let's say, 3 meals a day. So now let's press next, next, and complete. And there you can see the screen. So this is a screen I'm talking about. So this progress screen will be visible. Meanwhile, the meal plan is being generated. So let's wait for the meal plan to be generated and we will see whether it contains 3 meals for each day of week or not. And there you can see the meal plan is generated, and this time it contained 3 meals for each day of week. So now our application functionality is almost complete. And the next thing which we can do is either using a remote database like Firebase and storing the user information and also this meal plan on that database. Welcome to this lecture. So now after building the main functionality of our application, we are going to change something very major, and that is the memory of our application. So basically for now inside our application, we are using local database. So it means that when user is creating an account, then he can log in, but if he will gonna uninstall the app and open it again, then his account will be gone. Also, if he is changing his phone, then on that new phone, he need to sign up again and then log in again. So this is not professional at all. So basically in mobile applications for sign up or for creating account, we have to use an online database. And one of those platform is Firebase, and it is a platform developed by Google. And now we are going to use Firebase inside our application for login, sign up, and also for saving meal plan for user. So it means that once this thing is done, then once you are going to generate a meal plan and you will open the application inside another phone and log in with your own account, your personal meal plan will be loaded there. So it means that our application will be fully professional. So now to do that, again, we are going to use the power of Cursor AI. So here we are going to mention that now inside our application, replace local database with Firebase. And it means that we want to use Firebase for sign up, login, and also for saving user onboarding preferences and his meal plan. So let's simply mention that. So that will be our prompt. So let's simply send it and wait for the execution of this prompt. So in this prompt, we are actually making significant changes. So it will gonna take a little bit of time. And then we also need to create a Firebase project and connect it with our application. So we are going to follow all the steps once the execution of this prompt is completed. So let's wait for it and then we will proceed further. So now the execution is done, which means that it has done the necessary setup. And now it's very important that you read the instructions here. And in your case, these will be different because each time we are using cursor, it is applying what it think is best. But we are going to follow a procedure for setting a Firebase, which is same. So we are going to create a project and then attach our application with that project. Here inside our next step section, you can see they are mentioning that create a project and then attach our Android and iOS application to the project. After that, we need to download files from Firebase and add it inside our code. And to do all these things automatically, we can use a Firebase CLI tool. But we are not going to use that because it has some configuration errors. So now let's start the process of connecting this application with Firebase. So to do that, you need to open your browser, like we are going to open our Chrome. And there we are going to search for Firebase. So press enter and it will gonna show you this firebase.google.com. So click on it and it will gonna open this page. So now here you need to attach your Google account, and once you do that, you will see this go to console button. So press on it and it will gonna take you to your home page. So there you can see this is my Firebase home page. And now here what we need to do is to create a new project. So we can name our project as like meal plan. And the name is available, so press continue and then press continue. And there we have to select our analytics account. So you can select the default one, and we don't need to cover its details. So there you can see the project creation is done. It's free to create this project, so you don't need any paid account to do that. So once it's done, we will start the remainder of process. So there you can see your project is ready, so click on continue, and it will gonna take us to our project page. So this is our Firebase console where we can set up our project. So now here what we need to do is to attach our Android and iOS application separately. So basically in Flutter we can build Android and iOS applications. So in Firebase we have to add those. So to add those we can click on Add App button, and then here we can select the Android and iOS. So let's firstly select the Android one. So here we need to paste our application package name. So this package name is a unique part which is needed for publishing our application. So here what we can do is to check whether Fire has provided us the package name or not. So if not, we can say, tell me the package name, Android and iOS. And it will be same by default, so let's send it. And there you can see it has provided, so the package name is com.example.mymealplan. So here it's better to change it, so you can mention like com.aimealplan.mymealplan or any other combination. But this package name will be used once you are going to publish this application on Play Store or on App Store. But for now we are going to use this one, so we are going to copy it. And then we are going to add the name here. Now click register app. And if this package name is available, then we are going to register it. And we can download our Google services.json, but we are not going to download it at this point. So what we are going to do is to close and add our iOS app as well. So here you can see our Android app is added. And now click on this Add App button and select this iOS. And there we are going to again paste the package name, then click register. And it will gonna provide us a downloadable file, but again we are not going to download it at this point. And there you can see it is done. So now close it. And now what you need to do is to go to build section, and there, as we want to use Firebase for sign up and login, so we have to enable this authentication section. So click on it and it will be enabled. So there you can see, so click on get started. And there you can see this option. So far now, in our to create account, we are going to use user email and password. So click on email and password and enable it. And then click save. So now for our application, we can use authentication of email and password. And if you want to provide an option of login with Google, then you can select this. And if you want to provide sign in with Facebook and Apple or so on, you can select the option. But each one has its own setup. So for now, after enabling this, the next thing which we need to enable is our file-based database, because in the database, we are going to store the AI United meal plan and also user preferences. So that database is this Firestore database, so click on it and it will gonna ask you to give the permissions. So there you can see this create database button, so click on it. And here we have two options if we want a standard database or an enterprise database. So either it's like not a big project at this time, or we can go with standard. And then we have to select the location that where that server will be located. And then we can start the database in production or test mode. So for now, let's go with production mode. So now after doing that, we have enabled the authentication and database section. So using authentication, we can perform login sign up. And using this database, we will be able to store our data on Firebase. So there you can see it will be reloaded and our database is enabled. So now after doing that, now we can download the files and add it inside our project. So to do that, you can go to Project Overview and there you can click on Android and then the setting icon. And there you will find this option, Google Services.json. So click on it and it will be downloaded. Similarly, we can do the same for iOS. So click on iOS. And then download this playlist file. And it is downloaded. So now open the location where we have those. So you need to make sure that the name of these files does not contain this tree, because in our case I have downloaded multiple ones, so it is changing the name. But now after getting this Android or JSON file, what you need to do is to open the project, and there inside Android app folder, right click and paste the file. So there is no option of paste, so we can reveal in Finder. And then inside this app folder, we can paste it. And then we can correct its name to like remove this tree. And now it is added. So this is the setup for Android. And now for iOS, we need to copy the other file. And then we can open the iOS folder inside an Explorer. And there inside this runner folder, we are going to paste it. And then we are going to change the name. So remove it and that's it. So now this is the setup which we need to do for connecting our application with Firebase. And this setup will be same. So it means that each time you want to use Firebase inside your application, you need to create a Firebase project, add your bundle ID for Android and iOS on Firebase, enable authentication and database, and then download the files and add it inside our project. It means that each time you want to use Firebase inside your application, you need to create a Firebase project, add your bundle ID for Android and iOS on Firebase, enable authentication and database, and then download the files and add it inside our project. And now it's time to test the things. So as we got a simulator running, so we are going to execute Flutter run command. And then our app will be installed, and there are chances that there are some compilation errors. So in that case, we are going to pass them to Cursor and ask them to resolve. So let's wait for it and see what happens. So it's better to actually remove the app if it is already there, like we have it here. So I will gonna click on Remove App and Delete App. And now our app will be deleted. So now there you can see, in case of running it on iOS, we got some errors. So this is some compilation error. So what we can do is to select the error message. So we are going to select till this point, but you can select all of it. And then send it, and now it will gonna auto check and make the corrections. So there you can see the execution is completed. So here, let's simply run our app again. So it's asking that we can perform Flutter clean and then pub get and then Flutter build iOS. But we are going to directly try that, so let's see. And if it fails, then we are going to try this. So if, like, during the development you are stuck on something, it's good to read the instructions here, what they are providing. So now it is doing the Xcode build, and there we can see we got errors. So there we can see the errors are still related to compilation, so we don't need to do that setup, because firstly these errors should be removed. Then I can see because it is pointing at our main dot dot. So let's select this error and then add to chat and then send it. So there you can see the execution is completed. So now let's try to run our app again, and hopefully this time it will gonna work. And these compilation errors are occurring because we have all the code inside this main dot dot. So again, if you are building a big application, try to mention that create a separate file for each screen in the initial prompt or when you are creating screens. So there you can see, this time our application is installed. So let's see what we get here. So it seems that there is some error when our app is open and we got this white screen. So Firebase has not been correctly initialized. So there is one thing which we can do is, after adding the files, we should mention that we have added Google services .json and plist files in the project. Kindly make necessary changes. So basically in both files we have some API keys which need to be added inside of our code. So now it will gonna check and add those keys, and after adding that we are going to hard restart or rerun our application, and if still we are getting this error, then we are going to pass this error message to Cursor. So let's see what happens here, because for now we are getting this white screen inside our iOS simulator. So here you can see checking the project structure and updating configurations. So updating Android and iOS configuration to integrate Firebase. So it means that it is doing the necessary setup. Now it is updating iOS files. And it's done. So what we can do is to quit our application and then run it again, because it has made some major changes. So let's see what will gonna happen here. So there you can see our app is installed again, and again we got this error. So what we can do is to select this error message and pass it to Cursor, and hopefully it will gonna resolve it. So here it has done the setup, so let's quit our application. And then we are going to run these commands one by one. So firstly, let's run Flutter clean. And it will gonna clean our project. Now we need to navigate to our iOS folders, right cd iOS, and then run pod install. So in the iOS folder, we are running this command. So it is saying run Flutter pubget first. So we have to move to previous folder and run Flutter pubget. So it will gonna download the libraries, because during cleaning we have deleted those. And now it's done, so we can again move to iOS folder and run pod install here. So it will gonna install the necessary part. So basically we got some error here. So what we can do is to select this error message and pass it here in the terminal, and let's wait for the resolution. So now the execution is done and it has removed the conflict, which means that now in the iOS folder, if we run pod install, it should run successfully. So there you can see the pod installation is done, so we can run Flutter run command and see if the app will install this time or not. And then also you can try to run the Android, and there are less chances of error there, so if you want to go ahead quickly, then write is a better option. But as we were using AI Stimulator, so we are going to go with it. So there you can see the Xcode build is done and our app is live. And now we can see the screen, which means that now the Firebase is set up successfully. So here what we have to do is to create an account. So let me create my account. So I'm going to use gmail.com and then use the password and add to terms and create account. So upon clicking on create account, it is showing us an error code. Please try again. So basically what we can do is to mention the error here. So on sign up, when we click on create account, it says an error occurred. Please try again. So let's send it and see what response we will get here. So there you can see the execution is done. So basically it is asking us to add a final missing piece. So basically on Firebase, when we want to store data in this Firestore database, there is a section called rules, and there in simple words we have to do the settings, like what can be saved and in which order it should be saved. So in this rules, we have to change things. So for now, it has provided us these rules, which we can add there. So these rules will gonna allow us to easily test our application. So what you can do is to remove the earlier ones and paste the new rules and click publish. And now it will gonna make things simple for us. So you can use the exact same rules, then I will try to include it in the course resources. Or it will gonna, in your case, it will gonna provide you a different rule, so you can also try that. But these rules are temporary and these are for testing. So basically it will gonna allow us to save data and read it. So we are going to restart our application after that. Now you can see we are on onboarding. So basically when we tried earlier, then the sign up actually worked, and we can confirm that in the authentication section. So there you can see our Hamdas Save from the Save 1 and 2 Gmails are added here, which means that our account was created, but we were not able to access the data. So now here let me change the selection. So you can notice that it is not allowing me to do that. So basically we need to mention that. So what we can do is to hide the simulator, and we can copy some of the header message and ask cursor that now on onboarding, it's not allowing me to select an item, and there are errors in the console. So let's send it, and it will gonna investigate the error and let us know. So there you can see it has made some fixes. So let's hard restart our application. And basically if we have tried the thing like uninstalling the app and installing it again, then maybe we have not encountered it. But this time you can see it's working. So let's make a selection. And for now, by default, it's selecting the first item. So there's another issue. But for now, let's go with it and see either it actually works or not. So it is creating a meal plan. So there you can see our meal plan is generated. So now we have to see if this meal plan is actually stored on Firebase or not. So we can open Firebase, and there we can go to our Firestore database. And there we have a user document where the data for each user is stored. And for now, we have one user there. And there you can see the meal plan for that user is there, which means that everything is done successfully. So it means that if we are going to uninstall the app, so let's try that, like remove app, and we are going to install our app again. So Flutter run, and we are going to log in again, then we should be able to get our meal plan without generating it again. So let me try that. So this would be possible if we are fetching the meal correctly as well. So, and there you can see our app is installed again. So let's open Firebase. And for some reason, our data was still there and it is showing us the meal plan. But let's try to install the app on an Android emulator and try to log in. So what we can do is to launch an Android emulator and run our application. And we are going to do that inside our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So now we are going to run our application on an Android emulator and see whether it works or not. So I have launched an Android emulator and then run this Flutter run command. So hopefully our app will be installed here. And as while running on iOS, we have resolved the compilation errors. So those errors will not gonna affect us. But maybe there is some configuration which is left for Android. So maybe because of that we will face some error, but let's see. And if we are getting some error, we can again pass it to cursor and cursor can resolve it. So there you can see our app is installed, and previously I think we were logged in when we were not using Firebase, but now let's here try to log in using our Firebase account. So we have an account with hamzasif2@gmail.com. And there we are going to use 123456. Then click sign in. And you can see it is saying us invalid credentials. So here, what we can do is to like sign up here for the time being. So on the tree@gmail.com. And then use this password, agree to terms, then click create account. So there you can see create account is working. So let's go with default preferences. And if there is any error, you can mention and resolve. So there it is. You can see generating our plan and it will be done. And there you can see the meal mission is completed and we got our meal plan here. And now here, let's try to log out. And we are going to try to log in again and use a password. So now it's confirmed that our login actually not working, so we can mention that on login when we provide correct credentials, it says incorrect credentials. So it will gonna investigate why it's happening and it will gonna resolve it. So let's see what will gonna happen here. So there you can see it is checking our login code. And it is adding some more detailed message to like find actual reason for error. So there you can see it has made the changes. So let's restart and try to log in again, and this time our error should not be here, and if we still have the error, then it should have a specific message. So hamza2@gmail.com and 126. So click sign in. So it is saying that our credentials are not correct, but these are correct. So here what we can do is to minimize the simulator, and we can copy the logs and pass it to cursor, so it will investigate it further and make the corrections. So maybe it is because of the rules which we added, but not sure, so let's see. So now it has made the fixes. So let's try to restart our application, and it is also saying us to verify your account on Firebase. So on Firebase, we can always go to authentication, and there you can see we are actually using hamza3@gmail, so it's kind of correct. So let's use the correct credentials, which are. So let's try again. So click sign in. And there you can see after sign in, immediately we got our detail here. So it means that it did not generated the meal plan. And now what we can do is to uninstall the app from our phone. And then we are going to log in again and confirm that whether it is fetching the data from Firebase or not. So let me try that. So our app is installed again. So let's try to log in. So hamza3@gmail.com and use 126 and click sign in. And immediately we got our meal plan. So this is because it is stored on Firebase. So now after using Firebase here, you can also check that if it is being used here and on preference screen or not. And then you can ask Cursor to use this application here. Also on this screen we got the overflow error. So you can mention or describe that on profile screen against members since we are getting overflow and it will gonna correct it.